start. It's 6:32 already.
Yes. Okay,
Sorry.
we'll get started.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get started. All right. So it's a pleasure meeting with all of you again. Maybe some of you may be new, and many might have joined from last time's batch. Let me just check that out. So we are doing this session in the Bhagavad Gita for the people who are joining for the first time. And today is the second session, and we will take it forward from here. And today we are planning to dive into the chapter one, truly. Last time when I met with all of you, we were discussing about what it is all about. I was trying to set the context, why I chose the Bhagavad Gita, etc. So today we will dive straight into the chapter one. But before that, once again, for anybody who is new, the entire thing that I'm going to be, the way I focus at the whole thing will be Bhagavad Gita as a spiritual guiding light in our lives. Yeah. Nothing in specific about religion, but it is a spiritual guiding light in our lives. That is the way I look at the Gita. And that is the way I would like to take it forward also. Yeah. Um, so that is one. And of course, the format is I share with you the chapter one for about 45 minutes, and the last 15 minutes can be interactive. We can discuss and you can have your questions. And you can also, Vikram was saying that he has enabled the chat, and you can put up the questions in the chat also, if that is going to be convenient for you. Yeah, you can raise hand and you can. I'm joining from my mobile, so I may have some limitations looking at things, but that should be okay.
Can
Yeah, from
everyone
next.
can everyone watch the chat option in their Zoom? I just wanted to check with everyone. Is the chat option enable on your Zoom?
Uh, I am not able to see it. Let me just look. No, I'm not able to see it unless somebody is able to say something about it. So, friends, to answer Vikram's question, probably you can just check if the chat option is available. I'm not able to see it from my mobile, but probably that has its own limitations. I don't know. Okay, so we'll get started. So, to get started with the chapter one is something really, really interesting. This is the context is it is a battlefield and the war is just about to begin. King Dhritarashtra is sitting in his palace and he cannot see. He's a blind king. So Sanjaya, his charioteer, and also his advisor, is going to tell him what is happening in the battlefield. How is it he can see the battlefield? He has been given the divine boon by Ved Vyas to be able to see the entire Kurukshetra war, to be able to tell the blind king what is happening in the battlefield. So that is the context. Why did they choose? Why did Ved Vyas choose Sanjaya? That's because Sanjaya was very sharp, very intelligent, but more than that, he was totally objective, unbiased. When he is reporting, he'll be simply reporting. He will not take anybody's side. That is the reason Sanjaya was chosen for this particular work, where one has to be totally impartial, unbiased. And Ved Vyas thought, yes, Sanjaya was the right person who will be able to do this job. So the setting is all there, and King is waiting, and he wants to hear what Sanjaya has to tell him. And now, if you look at the battlefield, what is happening is the army has been arranged, and they've been on either side, the Kaurava side and the Pandava side. Everything is set. So the very first shloka in the Bhagavad Gita is by Dhritarashtra, and that is the only shloka by Dhritarashtra. So there are 700 shlokas in the Gita with the 18 chapters, and the single shloka that has been narrated by Dhritarashtra is the shloka number 1. So he is asking Sanjaya, Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveda Yuyutsavaha, Mamaka, Pandavaschaiva, Kima Kurvatu Sanjaya. This is his question. So, what is the meaning of that? He says, Dhritarashtra is saying, Dharma Kshetra, a field where only virtuous act will take place, which will be based on dharma, the path of righteousness. That is the way he describes Kurukshetra. Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre, Samaveda Yuyutsavaha. The two parties that are in agreement to fight a war, they have assembled there. Mamaka, mine, and Pandava, Pandu's children. What are they up to? What are they doing, Sanjaya? Please tell me. Now, what is interesting is in Mahabharata, there are 18 parvas, and in Bhishma Parva is the war, starting of the war. And in Bhishma Parva, we also have the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, that will happen soon. Now, just before this chapter, Dhritarashtra declares that my children and Pandu's children are same for me. They are just the same, and I don't see any difference between the two of them. I love both of them equally. That's what he says. But in the beginning of the war, the very first shloka in the Gita, he clearly divides between two of them. He says, Mamaka, Pandava, my children, and that of Pandus. He doesn't say, what are my children doing there? He doesn't say that. Now, that shows that he has already demonstrating the attachment towards his children, and he is anxious. He wants victory for his children. All that is quite evident from the shloka number 1. Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveda Yuyutsavaha Mamaka, mine, Pandavaschaiva Kima Kurvatu Sanjaya. That is his question number 1. Now Sanjaya is going to tell him what is happening out there. So now what is interesting about the whole thing is everybody is set for the war and both the parties are just waiting to attack each other. But something changes. That is the reason Bhagavad Gita has been given to us. Something changes. So that is what is the chapter 1 about. So it has about 47 shlokas, and the initial 10 shlokas tell us exactly how the army has arranged on either side between the two enemies. And the second few shlokas tell about, everybody, all the leaders from either side blowing the conch, saying, come on, let's start the war. Blowing of the conch. That is the indication that the war is going to begin. Then what happens in the chapter 1 is suddenly Arjuna is full of confidence. He is a mighty warrior. He is the greatest of archers. He tells Krishna, who is his Sarathi, Krishna, come on, take me to the center of the battlefield. I want to survey the enemy army so that I can strategize and plan how I can fight them. Yeah, he's full of confidence. He is, in fact, overconfident. He believes in himself. He's the greatest of archer. He knows he's the strongest. He can fight any war. Any war he went to, he has always seen success. He knows all that. Yeah, and he tells Krishna, okay, take me to the middle of the battlefield, and I want to see how everybody is arranged, and so that I can plan my fighting. Then what happens in the first chapter? Arjuna's emotional collapse. Emotion totally takes over when he sees all those people standing in the opponent side. He feels totally emotionally hijacked. This Arjuna, who was feeling so strong about himself, he was kind of overconfident and he knew he's the greatest warrior. After he sees those people, his relatives and Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, and all of them, he loses his confidence completely. He's shattered. It is an emotional collapse. And at the end of it, he tells Krishna, I am not going to fight this war. Now, this is the synopsis of the chapter 1. Now, we will break it into pieces and see what is happening there. So, after the very first shloka by Dhritarashtra, I have chosen about 6 important turning points in this chapter, and I'll be sharing those shlokas with you. Because the first initial 10 shloka, they are just going to call out and say, Bhishma is there, Drona is there on this side, and this side, the Pancha Pandavas. It is just the description of the warriors on either side. I have not taken the shlokas of those. Then I'm going to take the turning point when Arjuna is going to say something to Krishna. So now in the second shloka, it is by Sanjaya. He has got to reply to the emperor. He has got to tell him, he's got to reply to the king as to what is happening in the battlefield. And Sanjaya says, now, great king, I'm going to tell you what is happening in the battlefield. And people have arranged themselves on either side of the army. And Duryodhana, your son, is approaching Dronacharya, the guru, and he's speaking to him. Let me tell you. Now, the shloka number 3, Sanjaya is narrating what Duryodhana is telling Dhritarashtra. Duryodhana is being sarcastic with Dronacharya, his guru, in the battlefield. He goes to the guru, Drona, and he tells him, okay, Guru, don't you see? Guru Drona, don't you see the opponents, the Pandavas standing in the battlefield? They look very mighty. And all these people have been trained by you. He's very sarcastic about it. And he says it is because of them we might even lose the war. You have trained them. But he also tells them, but I'll want you to fight with all might from my side, which is somewhere Duryodhana is expressing anxiety and also lack of trust on his own Guru Dronacharya. And he tells him that you have to fight from my side. You have trained us and you've trained them also. So don't have partiality towards that side. Probably he's also trying to say because Dronacharya's favorite student is Arjuna. So he is somewhere indicating sarcastically, hey, listen, don't fall for that. Fight from my side, and you have to make us win the war. Then Duryodhana also tells Drona in the rest of the shlokas the great army, people who are there on the other side. He says the great Arjuna is there, the Bhima is there, Drishtadyumna is there, who is the chief of the army of the other side. He is describing all that in the first 6 shlokas. Then Duryodhana also says that doesn't mean our side is any less. We have Bhishma Pitama, we have you, great Drona, we have Kripa, we have a whole lot of, great people on our side. Then having said that, then comes the interesting point. Drona says, don't you worry, we will win the war. And he takes his conch in the shloka 12 and he says, let me blow the conch to announce that we are going to be fighting this war. Yeah, at that point, what happens? There is the conch is blowing in the 5 shlokas. The next 5 shlokas, Drona is blowing the conch, Bhishma is blowing the conch. From the Pandava side, Krishna blows the first conch, his Panchajanya. That is the name of his conch. Then Arjuna, then Bhima, all of them they are blowing the conch. Everybody is set, ready for the war. And Arjuna is in his highest level of confidence and I would say even borderlining towards arrogance. His own ego is popping up. Hey, this is something, I'm going to kill the evil, I'm going to kill all of these people, and I'm going to protect the dharma. So that is the level of confidence with which Arjuna is there. That is the point in time he approaches Krishna. And in the shloka 21, Arjuna is calling out Krishna and he says, Senayor upayor madhye ratam sthapaya maya achyuta. Hey Lord Krishna, my Parthasarathi, you please come and take the Ratha, the chariot, to the center of the battlefield so that I can survey and see how these people are positioned. And I can plan how to target these people and kill the enemy and win the battle. So Krishna very beautifully, smartly takes him to the middle of the battlefield. Krishna always has plans. Krishna knows externally Arjuna is looking very confident. But what is his state of mind inside? We don't know. Probably it's a little shaky. So Krishna takes the exactly in front of Bhishma, Drona, and Kripa. He need not have done it. But Krishna is very, very smart. He's always playing games in the entire Mahabharata. He's also playing games in this war. Why does he do it? Because Krishna believes, let me do it now. In the middle of the battle, I cannot afford that Arjuna collapses. That may not be a great idea. It is okay if he gets emotional and collapses now. I can always uplift him. But later in the battle, if he's going to see Bhishma and Drona, and if he's going to collapse, that will be a disaster. So let me do it now. So Krishna has his own plans, and he takes him exactly in front of all of those really great people whom Arjuna respects big time, like Bhishma Pitama, Kripacharya, Drona, etc. So when the chariot reaches there, what is happening? Arjuna is looking. Now comes the very, very important shloka in shloka number 26. If you people are keeping a book and referring to it, you can go to shloka 26. Tatra pashyat sthitan partha pitrah ata pitamahan acharyan matulan bhratran putran pautran sakhimstata. So now he is looking at the battlefield, and what he's seeing just shocks him. Tatra pashyat sthitan partha. Partha is looking at the people standing in the opposite side. Pitrah, father-like figure. Pitamahan, grandfather-like figure. Putran, Pitrahata, Pitamahan, Acharyan, all the teachers. Matulan, maternal uncles. Putran, children, his own children, like people, like his cousins' children are like his own children. Putran, Pautran, grandchildren. Sakhim Sthatha, a whole lot of friends are standing there. He's shocked. Are these the people that I'm planning to kill and win this war? He becomes shameful. He becomes guilty. He becomes remorseful. And suddenly, a change happens in him. Now, all this Sanjaya is narrating to Dhritarashtra. Arjuna is saying, Sidanti mama gatrani. My limbs are feeling weak, limp. Suddenly, my strength is gone. Mukham cha parisushyati. My mouth has become dry. Vepatuscha sharire me. My body is shivering. Roma hastasya jayate. The hair is standing in my limbs. The goosebumps. I'm totally losing control of myself. Then the next shloka he talks about is 29. He says, Gandivam samshrate hastan. The famous Gandiva, the bow of Arjuna, is just slipping from his shoulder. He's losing his strength. Such a great warrior is totally losing his strength. Tvakchaiva paridahyate. My skin is burning. Nacha shaknomi avasthato. I don't know what is happening to the great Arjuna, the great warrior. What I am, I'm not feeling that anymore. Gandivam samshrate hastan, tvakchaiva paridahyate, nacha shaknomi avasthatum brahmati vachaye mamaha. My entire thinking has collapsed. I'm not able to think. My mind is totally confused. So this is the kind of state of mind Arjuna gets into in no time. In no time. Just imagine the kind of shift. Just because he is emotionally hijacked, he totally loses his strength, both the bodily and the mind power. Here I just want to stop and for us to think. When we get emotional, there is something called the emotional hijack that happens. It might have happened in some way or the other in our lives. We are feeling great about ourselves. Suddenly we hear a news from somebody, something that we didn't want to hear. And entirely, the human beings, we are so fragile, seemingly strong, but we can be extremely fragile. That is what we learn from this. When emotion takes over, our rationality totally collapses. That is what is happening to Arjuna here. And what is Arjuna saying? Now he starts, and also what is interesting about Krishna is not interfering in any of these things Arjuna is talking about. That is what is interesting. Because when somebody is emotional, if you go and try to speak reason with that person, the person will not be able to listen to you. So Krishna is completely listening. He's just listening to him. Now, after this 29th shloka, so once he has seen all these people, great people, his own people, relatives standing in the front, he becomes emotional, and there is a collapse that happens. He loses his bodily strength. This is typically what we call as emotional hijack in emotional intelligence. The intelligence is gone and emotion takes over. This is a very dangerous situation. Now, Arjuna doesn't know what to do. He wants to justify his position. Then he starts telling Krishna, what is the point in fighting? He starts speaking those high level philosophy. What is the point in fighting? What is the point in winning this war? Fighting against Dronacharya and Kripacharya and Bhishma and my own cousins and killing all of them and then winning this war and becoming the prince, or my brother becoming the king of this kingdom. What is the point in doing all of that? So I think I'll prefer not to fight and just stand here and lose the war. Let them take the kingdom, let me lose the war. I think that is the right thing to do, because it is now he's trying to prove his decision is dharmic. He's trying to prove that the decision he's taking of not fighting the war, he is supporting the dharma, which is he cannot fight all those people who have taught him, who have raised him, who are his own cousins, his own brothers. He cannot fight them. And that is his point of contention. And he goes on, you won't believe, for 14 shlokas, right from the 30 to, right from 30, 32 to about 45. He's trying to justify his position. We call it rationalization. So, what happens to us sometimes? Now, when we believe, we want to defend ourselves, we want to say something and we want to cover up for it. It is something like student going and writing the exam badly, and then coming back and saying, hey, listen, that portion was not covered by the teacher, or my teacher was a bad teacher. No, he doesn't want to accept his defeat. And the child or the student wants to say very, very similar thing. Arjuna is doing. Somebody is not getting a promotion, then blaming the manager. And we try to put it on something else, and we want to justify our position because Arjuna is getting defensive. He is emotional and he cannot fight. And finally, in the last shloka, he breaks down. He totally breaks down. He says, Eva muktva Arjuna sankhye rathopasta upavishat visajya sa sharam chapam shokasam vignamanasah. He drowns in grief. He totally drowns in grief. That is the reason we call the chapter 1 Arjuna's despondency. Arjuna Vishada Yoga. That is what we call this. We call it that. That's because the brave, great Arjuna, falls a prey to emotion and he is not able to think straight. And he tells Krishna, I will not fight this war because there is no point in fighting this war. That will be adharma if I fight this war. But the decision I have taken not to fight the war is what is following the path of dharma. But now the point here is, if he was so clear that is the path of dharma, he should not be grief stricken. The last shloka of this particular chapter says he's completely grief stricken, despaired, despondent, and falls in the chariot, and he says, I cannot fight this war, and he is completely grief stricken. So if you think, if Arjuna thinks truly his decision is correct, then he should feel confident. No, that is the internal conflict he's going through. He's not confident, but he's just being defensive. So what do we learn from all this? One is, of course, it is not easy. Arjuna's situation is not easy. What he says is, how can I fight all these people standing in front of me? They're all great people. They are the people, who are instrumental for my being here today. So that is on the one side. I cannot fight this. That's what he says. But somewhere he knows that he's got to fight the war. So what is dharma? Is a big question mark here. So what we are learning here is the dharma sankat that Arjuna is into. Dharma sankat is something we face every now and then in life. It can be smaller thing to bigger things. Say you're driving with a friend in a car, and the friend is driving at a high speed, and there is an accident that happens, and but if you the court is saying, this person is your friend is arrested, and the court is saying, if you can justify, if you justify, by speaking a lie, saying that your friend did not drive at that high speed, your friend will be saved. But in the court of law, you have to take an oath that you will speak the truth. So what will you do in a situation like this? So all the time, this is a bigger one, even smaller things in life. We go through so many, many, many conflicts. So, and we have to make a choice. Do I believe in this or in this? Dharma Sankata, or we call it the moral dilemma. So what is dharma? Itself is a very, very big question mark. Should Arjuna be fighting, or Arjuna should not be fighting? So he's in terrible confusion. He doesn't know what to do, but he wants to justify his position. Stop here for a moment and ask you people, what is your take on this? If anybody has anything to say. So what is dharma in a situation like this?
Yes, can I speak?
You people have any take? Yes.
Yeah. So, dharma in any situation is doing what is needed to be done in that moment. What is the calling of that moment?
Hmm.
That is the
Hmm.
dharma. And all our
Right.
mental talking and evaluating pros and cons are just the mental noise.
Hmm. Right. So what is the dharma here according to you?
Is doing what is needed to be done in this moment. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, the dharma of Arjuna
Hmm.
was to fight because it was a need of an hour.
Right. 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 Excellent. So need of the hour. So what is troubling Arjuna? He is a great warrior. He is the path of dharma in general. Why is it he is not
The
able
trouble
to
is,
do it?
the trouble is he's attached to the people in front of him. They are his guru, his cousins, his
Hmm.
respected people, and he's attached to them. And he finds it very difficult to kill them.
Right, 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 right. Yeah. So what is required if we have to follow the path of dharma?
He's doing what is needed to be done.
Right. So the two terminologies Krishna talks about later, which I'll just introduce, the Viveka and Vairagya. Viveka is your ability to, as you beautifully said, doing what is required to be done. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is required to be done, this or that? Your ability to discern what is right and what is wrong is Viveka. That's what is one of the important learning this chapter. Viveka is something important. Your mind has to think straight, rationally, reasonably, and decide what has to be done at the moment. If somebody has to decide reasonably and rationally, at that moment, the person has to be free from emotional hijack. Many of the problem happens, we are not able to take a decision rightly because we are emotionally taken over. So there are two things we have in our brain. One is the emotional brain and the rational brain. And emotions are very, very important because emotions tells us a lot of the things about us and the situation. But if emotion takes, if this is the intellect, this is the emotion, they have to run parallelly. They should be supporting each other. They have to run parallelly. But if emotion takes over the intellect, we are in trouble. If emotion is going to hold the rein and intellect gets subdued, our ability to think rationally collapses. That is exactly what has happened to Arjuna. So when Gita introduces us to Viveka and Vairagya, the meaning is your ability to get back to your rational mind and to be able to take a call, is this right or this right? Look at the pros and cons. What am I here for? What is my dharma? What is it I have to demonstrate at the moment? What is expected of me? All these things are important, and the question itself will come to your mind only when you're in that rational state of mind. To be in that rational state of mind, Bhagavad Gita teaches us you have to have that bit of vairagya. As again, it was beautifully said by you, that is the detachment. Your ability to stay detached from the situation and your ability to take a call whether this is right or this is right, what is expected of me? What is my swadharma at that point in time? So that is something he has totally lost out. Completely lost out. Dharma itself is very subtle. So can anybody describe dharma? Again, I can go back to what you said, doing what is required to be done at that point in time. I can give you a simple example. There is a lady working in a lady or even a man, that's perfectly fine. A parent working in the office, professional, and there is a deadly meeting, a client meeting, and this person has to be presenting with the to the client, and the boss has completely given the responsibility to this person. At that point, the meeting is going to start just in about 15 minutes. At that point in time, there is a call coming from home, and you are told the child is your child, who is just about 2 or 3 years of age, the parent's child, is terribly unwell and running a very, very high temperature and is in need of you. And the other parent is unavailable. So at this point in time, you have to do what is needed to be done. It's a tough call. Yeah. So we can imagine, yes, theoretically, we know you have to do what needs to be done, but to be able to come to that state of mind, which is a rational mind, and to be able to decide, we need these two tools with us, the Viveka and the Vairagya. Viveka is to take a decision, which is right, what is the right decision, and that always comes, what is going to support that decision is the Vairagya, which is a bit of detachment. Your ability to look at things as they are and take a call, which is the right decision. So if I have to pose the same question, what should this parent do in that situation? Whether to attend to that very, very important meeting, which will have a great consequence organizationally in the professional front, or go and take care of the child who is running a temperature. Theoretically, probably we can try it. It's a tough situation. What I'm trying to say is we can probably give an answer, but the situation is tough. So we do go through many of these situations in our own lives. So that is what is our own learning. The big title I've given to all of my talk is Essence of Living and Leading Life through the lessons of Gita. So this is for us to contemplate. There is this, we are very fragile sometimes. We have a lot of potential, but sometimes we can become suddenly fragile unless and otherwise we are able to use the Viveka and Vairagya in our own lives in those very, very important moments where Arjuna is not able to use. I mean, that is the reason we have the 18 chapters where Krishna is going to take him through all of these things. Yes. So 2-3 points, Viveka and Vairagya plays an important role. Many times we are put into the conflict, the internal conflict, which in Sanskrit we call it as dharma sankat. In English it is moral dilemma. And we have to still be in the path of righteousness, which is do what is appropriate for that moment. This is easier said in theory, but many a times it does become hard. But we have to constantly be. Now, if I have to ask you a question, how to do it? What are certain things that you might want to, or if you've had experience in your own life, how is it you've taken those big decisions? Anybody?
I have a question.
Yes.
Mm. Sometimes what is right and what is wrong is also relative term, right? So
Correct.
that is also creating one more questions like, what is right and what is wrong.
Hmm. Correct. That is true. So how do you, any example? What's on your mind? You have an example for that?
I don't have an example, but I have seen the
Hmm.
situations that, what is right is a relative term. And
Hmm.
probably with whom we are working, what
Hmm.
is right for me may not be the right for others, right?
Correct,
It's
correct,
a
correct,
dilemma
correct.
again.
Yes. So there is some answer to this, a beautiful answer to this. Um, yeah. The What is the meaning of dharma? But even before that, I want to introduce you people to a beautiful book by Dr. Gurucharan Das, who is a Harvard alumni, who wrote this book called Dharma is Subtle, The Difficulty of Being Good. It's extremely beautiful. Dr. Gurucharan Das. He worked as the chief of Unilever in the US. He took a 2 years of sabbatical, went and wrote this book. It's a brilliant book. The title itself is so meaningful, exactly what Vikram said. Dharma is subtle, the difficulty of being good. First, your ability to decide what is right. Then, of course, following that path. Both the things are not easy. What is interesting about the entire Mahabharata and the characters is they're all flawed. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's a perfect hero. And none of us are. Yeah. So, barring Krishna, I would say, because he had own definition of dharma. So now going to the definition of dharma. What is the definition of dharma? So Krishna says the dharma's definition has to be expanded. So if it is just about you, something is impacting only you can take care of that. But you have to sacrifice yourself if it is going to be impacting your family. So you have to protect a larger good. And then if it is your family and your community, probably your community has to be taken care of. If it is going to be your country has to be taken care of. If it is going to be your country, your universe, the universe has to be taken care of. So that is the way he defines dharma. Anything that sustains is dharma. Dhar, jo dharana kare. Dharana is the root word for dharma. Sustain. You have to sustain the world. That is important. So now what Krishna says, you have to let go of the micro things or the smaller things or the self-related things for larger good. So now Arjuna, for instance, that's a very beautiful point that is brought in by Vikram. Now Arjuna, for instance, is getting emotional very personally. He has forgotten his Raja Dharma, his Kshatriya Dharma, for which he has come there to fight the war, to fight against the evil, to establish the Dharma for the larger cause. But he has forgotten about all that. He has succumbed to his very personal, selfish reasons. In the sense, me, I'm feeling guilty. These are the people who took care of me in my childhood. I cannot kill them and I cannot feel guilty about it. Later in the chapters, what Krishna is going to tell him is, it's just not about you killing them. You're here to protect the larger dharma, your role in the society. You are the prince. You're representing, you're fighting for this entire dharma of the your empire. So you have to forget about your dharma, your personal dharma, which is protecting yourself, which becomes a very narrow thing. So it has got to be larger and larger. That is the definition of dharma, anything through which you're able to sustain the entire space or where you are. If people are going to be, if nobody is going to be impacted, you have to decide between something. It is going to only impact you. You can decide for yourself. Beyond that is the family, then comes the society, then comes probably the country, then comes the larger universe. So that is the way Krishna says that you look at dharma. And Krishna says that is the way I lived my life. That's what he proclaims at the end of the Mahabharata when he's going to be leaving for Dwarka. Everything is over, Mahabharata is done with, and the Pandavas become they take over, and Yudhishthira becomes the king, and he wants to leave for Dwarka. And that time, Arjuna, they're all really, really upset, and they don't want to let go of Krishna because Krishna is the remote control. These people are powerless without Krishna. So when Arjuna is asking Krishna, come on, at least leave some lessons for me, for us to administer this kingdom in the right direction. And Krishna says only one line. He says, he doesn't say follow this, follow this, follow this. He says, look at my entire life. You're my cousin. You know me from childhood. Look at my entire life. My entire life is my lesson. So Krishna is able to say that with confidence because Krishna declares, I have always followed the path of dharma. That's what Krishna says. But many a times, when you read the story or go through it, he will look as if, he has been manipulating, he has been doing injustice. But he says, anything to establish the larger dharma. That is what is dharma, he says. Vikram, anything you want to say for this?
No, all good. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. But then that's hard. So for which we have to be a little detached. That little detachment comes in if I have to, maybe sometimes I've got to do some sacrifices for the larger good. So today we talk so much about the environment, taking care of larger things. That is exactly what Krishna talks about. It is the environment, the larger good, and the universe, and the present context. I'm not, we cannot say anything. There is a war that is being waged. Everybody has personal interest. Everybody is selfish. Now we are talking about things ideal. Of course, of course. It is not easy at all. So the best thing is the title of Gurcharan Das' book, the How Dharma is Subtle and the Difficulty of Being Good. But what I would say is what is going to be helping us is at least this thought process. When you're put in that conflict, internal conflict, your ability to think rationally, let me think, why is it I'm acting like this? What is a better way to act? Is this the right path? These are a few questions I can ask myself before I can take a decision. So that is a strong lesson I take from this, though the decision is going to be tough. But I'm aware, I'm thinking, am I taking this decision emotionally? Am I taking this decision because I want to take revenge? Or am I taking this decision because I'm angry with somebody, I'm upset, or am I taking this decision neutrally? Am I in the state of mind where I'm taking a decision where I'm taking decision for a larger good, not just my selfish interests? So that may be a good thinking before we can take those tough decisions. So that is the lesson I take from this, because there is this great warrior who is the mightiest. Arjuna was such a great warrior, the best archer in the world, the best fighter, and he's feeling great about himself and he is feeling superbly confident, and suddenly he collapses because emotion takes over. Now, there's another big lesson for us is, one is, of course, the Viveka and the Vairagya. I want us to take back. Number two, your ability to evaluate what is dharma, which is tough. Vikram's question was perfect, legitimate, which is really, really tough. But Krishna had an answer. The larger good is what is dharma, not your own selfish interest. And also understanding and recognizing that we are put through moral dilemmas in life constantly. Should I favor this? Should I favor this? But if you really will take a deep look at those moral dilemmas in life, one will be a selfish interest, one will be a larger interest. Generally. And we are stuck between the two. It is exactly what has happened to Arjuna. One is his own emotions about killing his kith and kin, And the second thing is about the larger interest. I'm a Kshatriya, I'm the future king, or I'm the prince, and I'm supposed to protect this nation from the evil. So the larger good or this. Or I give you the example of, the person who is riding in a car and seeing his friend. Should I save my friend or should I speak for justice? Should I save my friend by speaking a lie or should I speak the truth for the sake of justice? I mean, all these are dilemmas in life. And also the example that I gave of, the office goer, the parent, a very deadly meeting, the boss has trusted you and given this job to you. Otherwise, the company will lose something big. But also your child is unwell. So at this point in time, the lesson number one is how to cool yourself down. Take a deep breath, try to control yourself, weigh the pros and cons, and take a decision which is reasonable for you at that point in time. The very fact that you thought and took a decision, you are reasonably in the path of dharma. The very fact that you have taken a reasonable thinking, not swayed by the emotion, but you weighed the pros and cons from this side, and you say, hey, listen, this is the decision I'm going to take. It's fine. And I'll face the consequence. So when we turn up doing that, we are already trying to move towards the path of dharma. Because we are thinking and doing, we are analyzing, we are not falling a prey to emotion. That is typically what we learn from Arjuna Vishada Yoga. A brave man succumbing to emotion, not able to take a decision, justifying his own thoughts, being defensive, and saying that I'm in the dharmic path. But actually, he's not. Many times we also try to defend ourselves the time we take a decision like that. But on the other hand, to stay away from that and be in a rational mode. The idea, the entire Bhagavad Gita is going to speak about being objective. Being objective is going to be the most important thing in our life. Because many a times we take, as they say, when you're too happy, you don't make a promise. When you're in a bitter emotion, again, don't take decisions. So Bhagavad Gita's main thing is about, are you using your emotional brain or your rational brain? So when you understand this, at least try to stop, even when you get emotional, close your eyes and think, take some 2-3 deep breaths. All these are also highly related to neuroscience. When you take those deep breaths, then you start thinking a little more rationally from your prefrontal cortex. And emotional decisions will be disastrous. Moving to the rational brain is going to be what is important. Anybody has
Question.
any thoughts? Yeah.
Yes. Um, Probably we have to ready to face the consequences as well, right? In case if like either or, whatever decision we take in a real life or in a corporate life, right? Okay,
Yes.
we
Yes.
sometimes we have to make a quick decisions within very short
Yeah.
time. We don't know
Yes.
whether we have taken the right or not, but we have to be ready
Right.
to face the consequences as well, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ready to face the consequence. That is what is the hero's journey all about.
And then justify ourselves that okay, we fall into these consequences for XYZ reason.
Hmm. Absolutely. So one is moving from the emotion to, even if you have, say, 10 minutes to take a decision, very quickly you have to take a decision. Asking yourself a few questions, staying calmly, taking those few deep breaths, and understanding, hey, listen, this is the decision I'm going to take because I believe this is best at this situation that I can think of. But I don't know what is going to happen. Now, again, we'll have it in the next chapter in the Karma Yoga, etc. We're not worried about the consequences. We are worried about only this moment, how we are going to take the decision. At this point in time, I've got all of this data. I'm going to put it all together and I'm going to be non-emotional, or at least be aware that I'm emotional, and put it away and take a decision and face the consequence bravely. And when you face the consequence bravely, even if it is a negative consequence, you'll still be able to say, for instance, your boss has told you to do something and you've done it in a certain way. He's given you that freedom. but it does have consequences. You've decided path one. You had path one and path two, but you followed the path one. But you went through all this. Okay, so I'm going to take up the path one because it takes care of these 4 5 items. And according to me, at this point in time, that is a better path than path two. Later, even if it fails, you have your reasons. You can still go and talk with confidence because you thought. So Krishna says, think. Krishna says, be objective. Think. Don't get carried away. And that is going to be the most important thing. When you thought and you have your reasons, you have something to back it up. Yes, I took that decision because at that point in time, I thought reason one, reason two, reason three. They were the most important things at that point for me to take a decision. So I took that decision. So think, stay objective, recognize your emotions. It's not that you've got to bury the emotions under the carpet, but on the other hand, use your emotions intelligently. The moment I say intelligently, rationality comes in. Okay, I'm feeling sad at this point in time. Okay, take a deep breath. Let me give myself a few minutes. And post which, let me try to gather all those data. Why is it I'm feeling bad? This. Consequence. What will happen if I fail? That makes me feel a little bad and shaky. But what is it I can do? So the very thought process, you're thinking, that itself is going to give you a good guidance. Anybody has anything to say? Still, I think, is the chat working, Vikram, for you?
For me, it is working.
Uh-huh.
I don't know for
Not
the
able to,
others.
I'm not able to see the chat. Settings.
I verified that, from the admin panel, the
Uh-huh.
chat option is enabled.
Okay. It is enabled, is it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, friends, you have anything to say? Ask.
Written hi. Can you see in the chat?
No. You have your
Okay.
chat option, is it? It is there, is it?
Yeah, I have opened from the like three dots are there. From that notes is there. From there
Uh-huh.
in notes I have written hi.
Oh, is it? No, but I cannot see. Can you see, Vikram? No, I cannot. That is notes, yeah? Probably that
Yeah,
notes is meant
notes.
for you. I think that is meant for
Okay.
you.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
no, but in that, on the top, there is option that you want to send the chat message to individual or host, and you need to choose everyone. So if you choose everyone,
Okay. So
probably
I
it will.
have thumbs up. Yeah, thumbs up is there.
No, no,
Um,
not emoji, chat.
What do I-
okay, let me see if there. Um, I couldn't find it, but I want to just say that it's
Hmm.
in Gujarati, like you are saying, it's object like Krishna is saying like that. In Gujarati,
Hmm.
it says as sakshi bhav.
Sakshi Bhav, yeah?
Sakshi bhav.
Witness.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. That's also
yeah.
Sanskrit.
So
Yes,
Krishna
yes,
says
yes.
that we have
Beautiful.
to look the whole world as sakshi bhav. We are not
That is
supposed
true.
to involve, and as a
Yes.
human being, it's really difficult to be
Yes.
like that and to behave
That
like
is
that.
true. That
Yeah,
is true. That is true. Be a Sakshi Bhav, which is be a witness to your own action.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's very
Yes.
difficult. Yeah,
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So this actual reality is that we understand, but it's not easy to like involve in.
Right.
Mm,
Yes,
mm,
that is true. You introduced that very beautiful terminology called Sakshi Bhava, which is your
mm.
ability to see your own self and everything that is happening around you as a witness, not to be a
Yeah,
part of it, not to
yes.
be a part of it.
Yeah,
So that you're not
yeah,
emotional. You're looking at everything impersonally, not personally,
yeah, yes.
in a
And
detached manner.
yeah, so Krishna says, but we understand majority of the time, but it's not easy. Like it's
Not
really hard to live life like that, like Krishna lived.
Right. Like Krishna, wo to hai na. I mean, he is person with those 16 qualities and all that, the ultimate
Yeah.
person, ultimate
Yes.
human being. But here
Yes.
is, now that we are talking about it, it is very difficult, but it's not impossible. There are baby steps, small little steps with which we
Yes.
can get started.
Okay.
Small steps to
Okay.
bring in those awareness. So even there is a small
Mm-hmm.
little argument with your own children or with your spouse, sometimes you can stop.
Mm-hmm.
Am I getting too
Mm-hmm.
emotional about it? Let me stop. How is my tone of voice?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it I'm talking like this? Is it important? What is more
Mm-hmm.
important here? Is it important that I fight this out? Or maybe I can even say it in a different tone of voice. I can change
Yes.
my method of talking. So, small little ways we can take little steps, small little baby steps.
Mm.
Ability to observe ourselves.
Okay.
So, in
So that
conversations,
that I need to try. I think I can say that I understand
yeah,
that Sakshi Bhav is needed, but majority of the time fail to do that.
exactly. You're not
Yeah.
alone in
Getting
this. I mean,
involved
it
in,
applies to all.
yeah,
Yeah.
getting involved in each and everything is not needed. And we are
Yeah.
getting involved, and that's making trouble for
Ex-
us. Yes.
Exactly. So beautifully you summarized it. Yes,
Yes.
exactly. We don't need to. Many times unnecessarily, if we just keep quiet, things will be much better.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a part of it at all. So
Mhm.
that is something you can take a decision. Sometimes you have to be a part of it. It's not that every time you want to let go,
Hmm.
but how much to hold on and how much to let go
That's very important.
is a decision. Yeah, is a decision that we take up in life. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
thank you. Thank you for that contribution. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, in fact, if you will observe in this entire chapter, Krishna has not spoken a word and he has been just listening. And his listening skill is so high. We can also learn from Krishna how to listen better.
So,
He knows that Arjuna has been speaking all nonsense in the last about 12 shlokas. He has been justifying himself. And Arjuna himself is not convinced of what he's saying. That is the reason in the last shloka he is in total depression. But Krishna
mhm.
has not spoken a word because Arjuna is emotional, too emotional to listen. Yeah. So only in the
Mhm.
next chapter, chapter 2, which we will get started with next time,
Mhm.
Krishna is going to come up with his responses. He will respond in various levels. That is where our
Okay.
Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga and all of those
Mhm.
things come up. And very
Mhm.
brilliant level. One is at a
Mhm.
highest level, and Arjuna is not able to understand. Then he comes to the lower levels to make Arjuna understand. And he takes full, of course, 18 chapters to make him understand. And the 18th chapter, of course, things are pretty good. So, friends, thanks a lot for your contribution and your participation. I will see you in the next session. Probably we can plan it for 22nd of March. That's a Sunday. I am available.
Thank you very much, madam, for such a
Thank
nice
you.
explanation. And
Thank you
in
so
this much
much.
busy life, we can understand Gita with the
Yes.
current live examples that we are
Yeah.
in routine. We have to like how to behave and what to do and what
Yes.
not to do. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank you so
so
much. Thanks a
much.
lot.
You
Thanks a lot.
explained
Thanks,
it
all of you.
so well, so beautifully, in
Thank you.
such a
Thank you.
simple language. Really touched my heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Extremely kind of you. Thank you so much. Thank you for participating. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you later on the
Thank you.
22nd.
So we will see on the
Thank you, ma'am.
22nd of March.
Yeah, 22nd. Yes, 22nd March, Sunday. Yeah.
Sure.